Alright, so today, class, we are going to be looking at how different substances dissolve in water and in vegetable oil. So for this experiment, we have some room temperature water, some vegetable oil, everyday sugar, and red food dye. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting like about a teaspoon of sugar into some water, and they're in these cups, and then a teaspoon of sugar into this vegetable oil. And also a couple of drops of red food dye in this water, and a couple of drops of red food dye in this vegetable oil. So, what we need to decide first is whether or not these substances will dissolve in this water. So first, I would like you, class, to write down what you think is going to happen when we put sugar into this water. Alright. So, we're going to take a teaspoon of sugar. Try not to get the lumps. And pour it into some water. I'm going to use this knife to stir it around a little bit so we can observe what happens. After a little bit of stirring, we can still see that there's still some sugar in this water. There now seems to be a little bit less sugar left, and if you keep stirring, make sure you're writing down these observations. As you keep stirring, there's even less sugar this time. So we're going to keep going to see if we can get all that sugar to dissolve in this water. And it appears that almost all is gone. I bet if we keep doing it, there won't be anything left. As you can see, the sugar has dissolved into the water. Though, it should be noted that the sugar is not necessarily gone. It has just been, the sugar particles have broken down and are absorbed in the water. Next, we're going to look at some red food dye. So we're going to take some food dye and put it in water. Let's say about 1, 2, 3, let's do 2. Alright. So, almost immediately the water has seemed to change color, but you can still see where there's more food dye than in other places. So we stir, and after one stir, it seems to be completely mixed. So we can see that the food dye is still there because it changed the water's color, but the water is also still there. Alright, so let's move these out of the way. Next, we're going to try the same sugar in some vegetable oil. So we're going to take another teaspoon of sugar and put it in vegetable oil. Using a different stirring utensil, we're going to try to stir the sugar into the vegetable oil. You can still see the sugar. It seems to be that all the sugar is floating around in the vegetable oil. You can still see that all, if not most of it, is still there. It appears that the sugar did not dissolve into the vegetable oil. Alright, so now we're going to try the vegetable oil with some red food dye. Place 2 drops. 1, 2. Let me see our 2 drops of red food dye in here. We're going to attempt to stir it. The food dye has broken up into smaller parts, but it is not changing the color of the vegetable oil. So in your science journals, if you could draw a picture of each of these and how they dissolved. Like the sugar, which you can now see has floated to the bottom of the vegetable oil, the red food dye has not mixed with the vegetable oil. So, even though vegetable oil and water are both a liquid, we have found out that that they do not dissolve the same. That sugar and food dye do not dissolve the same in these liquids. You can see how the red food dye dissolved in the water versus the red food dye in the vegetable oil, and the sugar versus in the water versus the sugar in the vegetable oil. Thank you.